astray, caught up in the games they play. High-speed chases gone awry, serious turns into pie in the sky. Just out of jurisdiction, laughter and a conviction. Beneath the badge in misguided fiction, here comes the twisted.
Yeah, great storyteller too.
All right, guys, we got another episode for you here of Just Out of Jurisdiction. Got a pretty good episode, I think, lined up for you tonight. It's going to be good. So I'm no stranger to having to sit across from a police chief or two, and tonight I'm actually sitting across from two of them. I've worked for 4 chiefs in my career. 2 of them were not so fun to work for. 2 of them were great to work for. So 2 of them were in this room. I'll let you all figure that out.
Yeah, you're right.
He ain't gonna say nothing. Who's what?
I remember that.
They know who they are. So
I didn't know you hated me. That's weird that we're able to do this podcast.
I feel the love over here.
no, I'll say it. You 2 are definitely. I enjoyed my job under you all.
Well, that's because Derek hired you, right?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. So Derek is the chief that hired me. So,
But you didn't work. You didn't work long under me.
no, he got out of there. I hope I'm not the
That's
reason.
already. I was like, oh, good Lord, look who they've hired.
Yeah. And if you're listening, and I happen to be the one that take you to jail, it's Derek's fault. So,
Listen, so I'll tell this. Derek, and this is what was so hard. When Derek was my first sergeant, right? He was my sergeant. So as he progressed up the ladder and I became sergeant, he's lieutenant, he's, you did every position.
Every position. Well, I think I was the way they told me I was the only chief that had ever served every position within the department.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you were as I was staying put.
Yeah.
Derek, but it was hard because he's my sergeant. So there was times where I still felt like I can go tell him exactly how I feel about this.
Well, and he did. He let me know exactly what he thought.
Sometimes,
and that was a good thing. That was a good thing.
Sometimes that was not the right thing to do. It was never.
Sometimes other people didn't feel like he should be telling me some things that he told me.
And that's and I paid to listen. One of the funniest things that I was sitting in Joe Smith's office, and he was a detective / IT guy. I'm sitting there. Derek calls. I'd screwed up a report, like a FOT.
yeah.
Just like the time.
We know how important those FOT sheets are.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
So I'd like written like 1,800 and I should have wrote 1,600, something like that. It just.
And I was having a good day that day too. I was having a good day.
And
I don't know that I ever saw you have a good day, though.
I was a chief. I never had a good day.
This is why he's lieutenant, and he was over the FOT, and that was always kind of like, ugh. So he comes, he's like, hey. I was like, hey, I'm up here. He radioed, and I called back in the back. I said, I'm in Joe's office. I'll be right there, and I'll fix it. Okay. And Joe, it was not me, I swear. Joe says, whatever. And then, Sergeant, will you come back to my office right now? I was like POA. I was like the position of attention back there. I don't even know if he remembers this, but
you got to admit, I never raised my voice.
But I learned. I didn't rat Joe out though. I just took that ass chewing because I probably did look
Until
at Joe. I was like, oh, I got it. But then
Joe would never do anything like that.
No,
Joe
he
was
would
not the
never
kind of person that
ever poke or try to get somebody else in trouble.
Not at all.
I came back in there. I was like, Joe, come on, man. I just got ripped, dude. I was like, oh, gosh, Derek probably should have sent me home several times, but not for that one. But I mean, I was like,
Travis is pretty easy going. T-Dog's pretty easy going about things.
But I was opinionated, and that was not always the right thing, especially when you go from a patrol sergeant, and your world's here, and then when you move into the administration side, you kind of see like, and I've apologized several times to him and Stewart, and I wish Elijah was here. I'd apologize to him, Daryl, all of them. I'm like, man, the last time we was together, I was like, man, my bad, guys. I was such a jerk to you guys.
You honestly don't know, and that's me too. I mean, as you're a patrolman, sergeant, every time you reach a different level, you're like, You look at the guys that are in those positions before you, and you're like, boy, when I get in that spot, I'm not going to do it the way they're doing it now. And then you get to that spot, and you're like, well, maybe I can see kind of why they were.
See exactly why you have to. There's a controlling element that you're unaware of.
Yeah.
Well, I'm chief. I can do.
Yeah, you don't realize the limitations.
There's politics involved. You become quite a politician.
There's limitations on what you can do.
There's budgets that you didn't understand. Like, oh my gosh, you got to sit down and like, oh, all these money's got to line up right. Or,
when I get in there, we're going to all have brand new Chargers every year. We're going to have
all the things you wanted from the other side of it, and then you get
it. They did kick me into 2009 Crown Vic until 2018. Well, that might have been Daryl finally put me in one finally, but I was like, golly, man, 9-year-old cruiser.
I'll be honest with you.
And I wish I'd still had that Crown Vic.
I would love to have had that Crown Vic over some of those Chargers we had. They just...
Oh, yeah, they were the ones. So, what year did you start policing?
Literally, when I started, I turned 21 May 3rd, 1992, and I stepped into a cruiser for the first time on May 4th, 1992. So it's a long time ago.
Who was that? That was the sheriff's office?
Yeah, Laurel County Sheriff's Department. I actually started out, I was with, I worked with some of the legends that you heard about when you were, young. Yeah. That I started out, first person I was in a cruiser with was Raymond Roark.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with Bill George.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Back then, state police-wise, you had, Millard Root was my chief deputy at the time. He went on to become a state trooper. You had, Alan Lewis.
Yep.
Jack Riley was a young trooper back then.
Did he have a toothpick in his mouth back then, too?
Yeah, all the time.
He was born with it.
Same.
He was born. He came out of the womb, toothpick in mouth.
Yeah, you need to get Jack on.
He can't till the attorneys retire.
KSP won't let him.
Yeah, Steve Walker.
Mm-hmm.
You had, Joe Newton, Joe Schinkenfelder.
Oh, my gosh.
Those guys. For the PD, Sam Brock was a rookie back then.
Wow.
Doug Gregory. Hump was a patrolman back then.
Hump's on. He's coming.
He'll be a good one. Yeah, he was a patrol unit back then. It's just Kenny Jones.
Kenny Jones
has been policing since. So God rested on the 7th day, and Kenny started policing on the 8th.
Those guys were road units back then.
Yeah.
So I started 21 Laurel County Sheriff's Department. Back then, you worked a half a day in court, and then you spent a half day on the road. You rode with people for a while. When you actually got to hit the road, you spent a half day in court and half day on the road. And then, you had the guys that were running the courts. Even those guys, you remember their names. Don Wattenberger.
Yeah.
Elbert Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys would run a courtroom like Marine Corps DI.
Oh, I know. I don't know how many times later, Don would come in there. If you all don't shut up, I'm gonna lock you up myself. And come in there. We'd be back there in that, in the old annex where it used to be a district court. Laughing at something somebody did.
Yeah.
Disturbing court.
Right.
And bust in there and be like, I've told you what.
I remember being in a murder trial. I was just working the courtroom. I wasn't even at that point working a courtroom. I was working the back hallway, just making sure that no one was, not authorized to come in there with Elbert Owens. And we were back there. I remember Johnny Phelps was one of the detectives on this. It was a
big time
death row murder case.
Mm-hmm.
So we were sitting back in the back, and it was cool for me, just a 21-year-old police officer to be around all these detectives that were. Junior McKnight was
all
one
the
of the
detectives.
Desi, I remember Junior coming in there. He was assigned to Desi at the time, and they were like, "Don't let anybody that's not supposed to be back here come through this door." And this guy knocks on the door, open it up. Here's this, mountain of a guy with his beard down to here. It looks like he just
burly
crawled out of a hollow someplace.
Yeah,
standing there. I said, "Can I help you?" He's like, "Yeah, I need to come in there." I'm like,
"Not you, sir.
No,
not you, mountain man."
But he's like, well, this way, he looks like he's a big unit, but I'm thinking, no, I'm not supposed to let anybody back here. It's not supposed to be. He said, yeah, I need to come back there. I'm like, no. He's just like, well, yeah, I'm supposed to. I'm like, sorry, I can't let you back. He turned sideways. He's a big unit looking straight at you. Well, when he turned sideways, he's about as broad as a...
Yeah.
He's as...
He's like a tree stump, like me.
He's as broad as he is tall.
Yeah.
He's thick.
I'm like, oh, this isn't going to end well for me. He's like, can you call the Commonwealth Attorney back? I called back. One of the assistants come up and he goes, oh, come on in, Junior, come on in. He's like, do you know who that is? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, who you just let walk back through here?
That guy came out of the holler.
He said, that's Junior McKnight. I'm like, oh,
that's the legend.
Junior McKnight. So, man. But just hanging out with those guys was really cool. But I remember
Lonzo and
Lonzo.
Oh man, I mean, you hear these names of these, and you're like, oh my gosh, these. But I remember Johnny Phelps is probably. You still hear about his his interviewing skills, his interrogation skills, like
that's the
unbelievable.
And I come
that's
in,
who you wanted in, if you want to crack it.
And that was like those guys, Junior, Johnny. I didn't work with those guys, but I was around those people. And just to hear them sharing stories and stuff was amazing. But getting to work with on the street with people like Raymond Roward, Bill George.
All your old mentors. Huh?
Steve Walker. Me and Steve Walker used to drink. That was all we did. Yeah. I mean, it was just a blast back then. So you hear of these names, these guys from the '80s, and let's go with '90s.
90s. Well, they started in the '80s.
Yeah, they started in the '80s.
He said, some of them in the '70s. Back that
so
far.
You started in '92. How long did you do at the sheriff's office?
Was with the sheriff's department 92, 93, and 94. Then left the SO 94 over a little incident that occurred involving a traffic safety checkpoint and went to the LCDC as a booking officer for a bit. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Spent 1 year, and I think it's really great to go to. That was a really good experience for me because at that point, it was one of those deals where it was good to get off the street for a little bit because you start feeling bulletproof and start. I'm at that point I'm 5'6", 140 pounds. I look like I'm 16 years old. I spent the last half of my time in East Bernstead at night time. Yeah. I'd been in a fight or two.
I would imagine that working with Derek out on the street was like working with Joey out on the street. Joey's all of 120 pounds, 5 foot in the and we would let him answer a call by himself if we was like, we kind of want to get into a tussle tonight. We just let him go out.
Yeah, I mean,
we'd be close, but
if you're my size, and back then
they would try you.
Back then, the way it worked, there were 2 PD officers out all through the night. There was a trooper out until 2 a.m. and that trooper went in, and you were like maybe the last deputy out at 4 a.m. In the county, and then from 4 until 7, if you got a call in the county, they'd take turns calling a trooper out one time. Then calling a deputy out one time. So, by the time I was 22, I'd arrested 2 people for murder. You get the experience. You learn to fight, and you bleed a lot. But, it was a great experience. But coming off the road, going into a detention center for a while, great experience. I think that also kind of helped me get my attitude in check.
Yeah.
And you start realizing, hey, everybody, there's a lot of good.
Sometimes good people make bad decisions.
There's some good people. That's exactly right. There's a lot of good people that end up in back of police cruisers.
Right.
And you start to realize that the people that we would take and drop off, they've got lives too, and you kind of get to see them as individuals.
We talked about it with Danny, and I think that's why I didn't end up in so many fights, is because I tried to treat everybody like they just made a mistake.
I never got in any fights.
I never took anything personally, and I never. Yeah.
Well, when I came back,
he
out,
only got in fights
after a year. And I will say this too. Working at the sheriff's department, great for experience. Very fun. Loved working at SO. Probably my favorite couple of years was there at the SO. The hardest, most eye-opening part of my career was probably, and a lot of respect for those CEOs out there, because those guys have a really tough job. Very, like I said, very rewarding for me to have gone in and spend
I
a
wonder if
year
Jamie
inside.
or somebody would come on here. That'd be
Guarantee
fun.
it.
He would.
Guarantee it.
Well,
That'd be good.
Because those guys, that was the hardest of all the 27 years that I spent in law enforcement. That was the hardest year. And
You
the
could
most
get him or Sean or somebody. Yeah.
the most rewarding time that was that year that I spent inside it. And like I said, probably made me a lot better officer. I think it'd be rewarding for everybody to actually get to see that side of it.
What little time that I sat in there, I mean, I wasn't on the CO side, but, doing what we was doing for L4 and just listening to that. Sean would come in, he'd be like, hey, man, we're hiring. I'd be, nah, I'm good.
You saw it. Well, it takes a special
It
person.
does. I was like, I don't think I could do it. I said, I was okay with bringing these people and dropping them off to you. I said, but after sitting and listening to this woman squall for 6 hours, the last 6 hours,
Well,
I said, I don't think I can do it.
There was Richie Baxter and I worked together inside, Trooper, worked inside together. And I remember, we had multiple people in there that would go on to serve death sentences that were waiting trial or waiting some type of judicial ending to their whatever was going on. But I remember Robert Carl Foley. Bob, we got it, Bob.
Yeah, down on White Oak, huh?
Yeah, Bob had some medical conditions, and at night when we were working, if he was in a maximum security area, and they would send Richie and I in because he would have to be out in the day room. They didn't want to send him out because he was such a security risk. So they would send Richie Baxter and I in with Bob, and we would literally sit there and play cards with Bob Foley at night to monitor him. So, it was getting to experience stuff like that.
I guess they consider him like a serial killer. I guess he killed enough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's killed.
Yeah, he's
killed
got multiple death sentences.
Was he the one with the gas stations and all that?
No, that was Bowling.
That was actually when I was telling you about being there with
okay.
Johnny and all of them, Junior. That was
a big. I was in ninth grade, something like that. I was getting,
because he killed a few people too, didn't he?
Yeah, several gas station attendants.
Yeah, he was. I guess he was. Yeah, that was a sad. That was scary.
Yeah,
that was scary living in. I lived up in East Bernstead, and it was just scary to go in a gas station at those times. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But that was because that was the victims were family and friends of family. It was really sad.
It was. I mean,
because back then, it was Joneses and all these people that had these places. You just like, man, it was scary. But you just didn't want to go down the Shell station. You're like, oh, that might be bad.
Yeah,
but it ended up like Richie Reynolds and Cheeto dust all over your something. But it was.
I believe you'd had more than Cheeto dust in that fight.
I don't know, poo. I don't know, but it was. That was some weird times, and the Foley stuff. My grandparents lived down there close to that. I had family, aunts and uncles on White Oak and Fawn Ridge, and I was there. You're like, I grew up down those places. You're like, oh my gosh. So it's different times. It's the 80s. That was the 80s and 90s right there. Was it different times? Plus, we had the murder mount guys. We had like 3 active serial killers in London.
I forgot about that. That guy was in.
And you start thinking, maybe it's us. Maybe it's something.
Listen, I've told people, I've told it in interviews with other agencies. I've told it to people. I was like, for some reason, this area is just a magnet for.
Well, we always said if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in London.
Yeah.
Yes. The I-75 makes a.
And you've got the Parkway also.
Yeah.
So
it's
you've
a crossroads.
It's a.
It was weird when we went over to Whitesburg, how many people knew the business of what's going on in London. It's a hub. It's very important to the east of what happens here in this part of Kentucky in London, because it was just such a people work over here. They'll drive all the way from Whitesburg, which is what, 2.5 hours, something like that. Depends on how fast you're driving, to work at our hospital.
We need to track down Hunsucker and try and get him on.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I'd like to know some stuff going on over there.
Yeah, no joke.
But after I left the detention center, I came on the PD. We tested and made it to PD in 1995.
95.
Spent the rest of the time there till.
I think I never had a run in with you. You did pull me over one time because my high beams wasn't working in this old Camaro I had. and I got stopped right there at the courthouse, and I was like, did I bright light you? And you was like, yeah. I said, man, well, that's a violation too. No, I'm just kidding. But that's the only time I ever got stopped by the city police. It was
I thought maybe your brother.
Now, my brother. My brother had that one coming, I think. He
It's a miscommunication, I think.
He came and complained about that to Eddie Sizemore, a legend. He's like, oh. But what happened was, and I'll let you tell it because it's funny, and he had it coming.
It was a joke.
It was a joke. It was a great joke.
But now I think it got misconstrued about what I said.
I'm sure it did. It was funny though. This is a classic line, and it shouldn't be used by young cops anymore.
Don't do it anymore. But so I had a sense of humor while I was out on the street. No, it's hard to believe now, but
it's great.
I pulled over someone's brother, and I think his girlfriend was with him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For running a stop sign, and I was always a big, I was a K-9 unit, I was an interdiction unit, so I always worked traffic quite a bit.
Yeah.
Never wrote. I don't think I probably wrote. If I wrote you a ticket, it's because you literally made me write you a ticket, because you got a ticket one of two ways.
You're going
to jail.
Yeah, you needed it. Yeah.
Or you made me so mad.
You talked yourself into one.
And I couldn't figure out how to take you to jail.
Yeah.
So he ran a stop sign, and I pulled him over, and I said, hey, I'm just going to give you a warning because it's just it's what I did, interdiction. It's like, hey, you ran a stop sign back there.
16, 17-year-old kid, whatever.
Yeah.
So might have been 18. I don't know.
I said, you ran a stop sign back there. And he seemed like a good kid, easy going.
Yeah.
He said, well, I slowed down. I said, it reminds me of a joke I once heard about a police officer pulling a guy over that ran a stop sign. He said, well, I slowed down. I said, police officer takes his flashlight out and starts hitting him in the head and tells him, you tell me when you want me to slow down, when you want me to stop.
Yeah.
Classic
joke.
Classic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, a joke.
I don't think you could get away with that these days, but
it was great.
It's great.
So, I'm like, hey, just hey, slow down. Let's just slow down.
Yeah,
Stop. Don't just slow down. Stop.
Yeah.
He said, okay, appreciate it. Next thing I got was like getting phone calls, like threatening to hit somebody in the head with a flashlight for running a stop sign. I'm like, I don't think so.
That's funny. Classic. When Derek stopped me, I remember he had the cool. It had to be. You had a mustache back then.
The cool
Yeah.
70s porn stash?
No, it was like the 1990s.
It was
thin.
Okay.
Thinner.
Yeah.
He had his cool dog, cool car. Man, it's a good time.
The,
Yeah,
the Vice mustache. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
What else we got? I know there's some. I want you to tell Was you at the sheriff's office when the you had to take care of the dog thing?
Oh,
because this one,
yeah,
this was tragically funny, but it's one of them.
We had a murder that took place. I remember it was December, I think 1993. It was very cold out.
I like it that he knows the dates. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why because I can't remember what I ate for dinner last night. But I know it was December
in there.
1993. I remember because it was cold out. There was snow and ice on the ground, and I had just back then, like it was when we worked third shift, there wasn't a whole lot to eat out. But I remember Hardee's was always open. Mm-hmm. You had Burger Boy, and we would eat at Hardee's. I always ate at Hardee's back then. So, and I was out by myself. Nobody else was out. I think Trooper was someplace else. I'd stopped to eat at Hardee's, and I just got out, started eating. Dispatch called. Said it was Greg Owens, and I forgot who was working with him. Mark Begley, and two great dispatchers, by the way, great dispatchers.
Yeah, they were.
Mark, yeah.
Mark was.
If you wanted two dispatchers to handle a bad call, that was two of them you'd want back then. Mark had yelled at me, said, I thought it was SO9 at the time. He said SO9, got a domestic of some kind going on, way up 490, like almost in towards Winding Blade. Two subjects arguing. They keep hanging up on the phone. So I'm like, I'm at Hardee's. on South Main Street. So I'm like, okay, I'll head that way, get up, get in my cruiser, start heading that way. Again, it's ice. It's late, it's early morning hours. So I start heading that way as fast as I can, but still, it's on ice. Start going out that way. Hear dispatch saying, SO9, just make you be advised. Subject keeps calling back, hanging up. Sounds like they're arguing pretty good. So I'm getting there as fast as I can, still on the way. I get about to, I guess, 490 and 25. I hear them drop tones.
Oh, no.
For LA unit. Or maybe a little bit farther down. LA unit come 10-8, signal 9 ambulance run, possible gunshot wound.
Oh, no.
And I give the address out. I keep waiting for them to say, is that the call I'm going on? Still don't hear anything.
Yeah.
So I finally, after a while, I key up and say, SO9 London, is that LA unit going to the residence that I am going to? Is that subject that they're arguing with, has he been shot? Remember Mark Begley, as calm as he can be. Saying, well, SO9, can't really say for sure, but looks like it's a pretty good bet.
He's calm. He was good. He was so good.
Looks like it's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, so, I love it. That just little hint of sarcasm. And,
looks like a pretty good bet.
I love it.
So I head on out that way, and again, it's ice out there. What ends up had happened, two gentlemen had gotten into, from what we can tell, had gotten into an argument, and he keeps called Greg first time, Greg Owens, and said, hey, Owens did a great job. So, I'm fighting with we're having a fight here. You need to get the police out here. You need to get them out of here now. Hangs up the phone. Greg calls him back. He answers the phone. Hello? Hey, is everything up? Yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. You don't have to send anybody out here. Hangs up. As soon as he hangs up, calls right back. You better get the police out here. I'm about to kill this guy. Hangs up. Greg calls back. It's just nonstop the whole way. Last phone, there was literally 9, 10 phone calls made with Greg calling him right back from everything's fine, don't send the police to you better get them out here, I'm getting ready. Well, the last call is you better get the police out here, I'm getting ready to shoot this guy. Hold on a second. Pow.
I've shot this guy.
You go ahead and send the police out here, but I'm not going to be here when you get here. It hangs up. Greg calls him right back. Hello? And Greg manages to keep him on the phone the entire time while I'm on my way out there. So when I get there, and he actually talks him into going outside, and he's outside. When I pull in, he's outside. He's got his hand up under his shirt like this, talking on the phone. I get out, draw down on him. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Doesn't pay any attention to me. So all I see is this with the phone. So the next thing you hear is me hitting him as he goes to the ground. Because he's not listening to me. I think he's got a gun. I don't know what he's got under his. Get him to the ground, handcuff him, bring him to the back of my car. By this time, you see a LA unit coming, or you can hear the LA unit. You can't see it coming down the road. I go up, open the door, and I see a pit bull look at me right dead in the eye as I open the door. Well, I slammed the door back. We'd just been given pepper spray. So I open the door, pull the pepper spray, and shut the door back. Open the door. Brian Ring is coming out of the LA unit. As they arrive, goes to the back, and it's walking towards us. As I open the door up, the pit bull runs through the door past me, around the side of the house, comes back, and pictures in on Brian. He just targets Brian.
Yeah.
Starts running right at Brian. Brian turns and runs the other way. Moose runs the other way. Starts yelling, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. I pull my weapon, fire one round, get the dog. Open the door up again, and there's the gentleman that had been shot in the head. Our perpetrator, who's in the back of my car, when we finally get the whole story, alleges that the gentleman that is dead, who's a relative of his, had molested the dog, and that's why he
shot the
Oh my gosh.
He shot the victim.
So there's a law in Kentucky now about barnyard sodomy.
So the next night, I'm in Corbin. Because this is a whole mess. There was another trooper.
Jeez.
Barry Blair comes to me.
Yeah.
And it's, so I'm in Corbin. And one of the troopers from another county we meet there at the halfway point. And he looks at me and goes, "So is it true?" I said, "Do what?" He says, "Is it true?" I said, "What?" He said, "You shot the rape victim?" I said,
I didn't know it was Barry.
yeah.
Was that
No,
Barry?
Barry was with me that night. There was
It's
another trooper.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
So, yeah,
awesome.
it's true.
Oh, that poor dog.
I said, well, supposedly it's true.
Put it out of its misery.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's classic.
it was just wild down there, especially in the north side of town. I remember, like that was meth. You know, you really hadn't seen a lot of meth, and we started seeing it there at the end of 1993. I remember first fight with somebody that was on meth. I'm not going to say I don't know if you guys would know these boys or not. There was a family, but pulled one of them over. I saw him get into his vehicle. I was pulling into Ape Yard Market. Saw this guy get into his car. As he's getting into his car, I hear the beer bottle fall out and start rolling across the parking lot. I'm like, gotta go check this one out. Yeah, that's a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, ding.
So get after him. Finally get him pulled over in front of EB Shell. Get out of the car. He's obliterated. I mean, just obliterated. Running through field sobriety, no problem. Finally look at him and say, "Kurt, you want to go with me tonight?" And it's not the first time I've arrested this guy, because you were dealing with a lot of the same people all the time.
You get repeats quite a bit in this area, yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, Kurt, you're going to have to go with me tonight." And I reached down, got a hold of him, put the first cuff on him, and when I did, he turned as fast as anybody I've ever seen turn, and he nailed me right between the eyes. And I've heard people say they've been hit so hard they see stars. I don't know if I saw stars, but there was a million shiny things
Yeah.
in the sky.
Those are angels
I mean,
coming to get you, carry you home.
They were coming down from high. And let me tell you something, buddy. The fight was on. I swung. First thing I did out of reflex was swing my flashlight, and I nailed him. And then my flashlight went and over, and it was gone. And the fight was on. I mean, he got me into a bear hug, and I'm sitting there just.
Doing your best.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight for survival. It's not. I mean, I hit him with everything on my belt except a bullet. Finally fought my way around the car. I mean, literally fought from my driver's side all the way around until I got my nightstick, and managed to break away, get my nightstick, and literally had just fought and beat him to the back of the car. Never got him handcuffed. Finally got my door shut. Literally laid down beside my cruiser and just trying to catch my breath. And
He's still ready.
He's still. I mean, he's trying to tear. That was when we didn't have the plastic screens. We had the wire screens.
Yeah.
He's sitting there tearing my screen out of my car.
Gosh.
And first thing he did too when we started fighting was he reached down and he broke the antenna off my radio, and so I couldn't call anybody.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out to anybody. Got in my car finally, caught my breath, got in my car, started down to towards London. Got on my main radio, called and told me I had one wild 10:15 coming in. Sam Brock came out and met me at the old where they used to sell trailers down there.
Yeah, Humphreys.
Yeah. He pulls in. Sam calls and said, "Man, he's coming." Because Sam gets behind me. Said, "Man, he's tearing through your
He's trying to get to you, buddy.
He's coming at you." And we finally get him into the Sallyport, and literally, I mean, it's just a fight from there on. It was wild.
It's honestly wild dealing with people that are on meth, because you wouldn't expect, because they'll be scrawny, they're emaciated. But they're, I mean, so strong, and they don't feel pain. Tasers don't work on them. I mean,
You remember the guy that me and you went on it said the giant chicken had killed us, or was in that house and was telling to kill everybody. That guy. I don't know how we talked him in the car. He was flexed out. And this guy, I'm telling you, Dylan, this guy was 6'5" and probably 400 pounds of just muscle. I mean, he was the biggest dude. I was like, this is going to be a bad night.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know if he was on PCP. I don't know what he was, but I tried to handcuff him behind his back, and he would not move. And I was like, why don't you sit down here? We'll go check that house. And I was like, it's probably meth.
Well,
but I was like,
I'll tell you,
it took the whole squad. Yeah. I think we had 4 out that night.
Special K it'll do that to you too. You all dealt with that guy, you and Patrick, the guy that y'all had to tase in the tub. Special K was his thing. And when we get Jake on, I'll tell that story of our first adventure with that. But
you'll find out, especially when you're my size, it's a lot easier to talk them into jail than it is to beat them.
I don't know.
But but there was a lot of fun times too, because we were talking about like Keith Schoolcraft and Greg Owens, who did an excellent job on that the murder with the dog was involved in.
Yeah.
I remember 4th of July, you'd go 10-15. Visit from like June until halfway through August. They would be sitting there. It was when the dispatch was in where the sheriff's department is now. You'd pull down 4th Street, and they'd wait for you to go 10-15, because that was just a chance for them at target practice, because they'd sit there and shoot bottle rockets at you as you come through.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
That was
wasn't the city police there at first?
Yeah, that was when the dispatch and the PD were right there where the sheriff's department is now.
And the sheriff's office was in the courthouse. Yeah. That's crazy. Just seeing how
stuff's moved around, so much.
We're still in, and then the police department now was the old post office. That's where the post office used to be. It's crazy. It's weird.
And then you've got all the Dairy Queens that moved around.
Yeah, that's fun.
They're banks now.
Pizza Hut, that was the place. Yeah, I miss that stuff. I missed our old restaurants in London.
I do too.
I was talking about Chinatown the other day.
Yeah, Chinatown. I miss Chinatown.
But it was fun times.
And then I came from the SO, and then from the county detention center to the PD. And I remember, of course, coming from that environment of working the county to coming to the PD, it was like, it's a culture shock.
It's a little more structured.
It's a little bit more. I remember that was the first meeting with Chief Holland. I remember when I got hired, Baker and I came in the same day together. And when we walked in, Baker went back, spoke to the chief first. They were back there for about 10, 15 minutes. Then the chief brought me in. He said, I'll never forget the exact words pretty much were, hey, glad you're here. We're glad to have you. But let me tell you, if you police like you did in the county here, you're not going to be here long. So that was
I remember I was talking to the former mayor. I was talking to Troy the other day. He was like, me and Lige were riding together, and he would have been on the council back then, I guess, when you first started. So Troy's riding with Lige. Let's go check on Derek. I guess he was on a traffic stop, and they kind of pulled over. He said some drunk was out. I guess he was doing field sobriety. This guy was hammered. He said this guy was so drunk he started leaning over top of Derek. Derek pushing back, tried to do some field sobriety. Guy kept leaning. Troy said, we sit there and laughed. He's like, should we go help him? Nah. Elijah was like, nah, he's got that. It's like, he's been policing forever. He knows what he's doing.
Troy had a pretty good sense of humor when he was out on scene. There was there's some things that I don't know that I'll tell. Some of the comments and things that he's made.
It used to be the city. I remember the city council used to ride with us all the time.
Oh, they need to.
That's good. I remember when I was in that pursuit where I got hit. A city councilman kept me from getting run over by my own car after.
Oh my gosh!
That was. Yeah, he was riding with me during the whole pursuit, and
is that when you got ran over?
Yeah, that's when I got hit by the car and knocked over.
I think it's a great idea for.
That's good. They used to a lot. I remember that Troy
city officials to get out and
because Troy was he was him and Bill Mays were my teachers up at North High, and they would always we always called them like rescue rangers up there, but because they would have the radios and still listen to what's going on. They loved it. We didn't know. We just dumb kids, but they were all about it. And I was like, man, they were in. But they were Bill was the chaplain and Troy was on the council, and
I remember
it's fun.
I had a traffic stop one night, and this was kind of a learning experience for me too. It was early in my career at the PD, and Troy and Major Young were together, and I was outside my car, with the person I had stopped. They pulled up, and the major didn't get out of his car. Troy was still sitting in the passenger seat. They were like, "Hey, come over here, tell me what you got." So I walked over and was like trying to keep an eye on my suspect and trying to tell them what was going on.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, he was gone. Suspect was gone, and of course I'm back then. I'm pretty swift too, so I take off running. We ran all the way down to down by the cinema, where the woods are there by the cinema.
Yeah.
And through the woods we go, and as I'm running, here comes the major and Troy in their car, just keeping pace with me.
What you doing, bud?
You need a ride?
And I remember getting to the wood line and running through the woods after him. And then after it was over with, I come back and looked at him and said, "Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate you being out there with me." They're like, "This is the life lesson. Get in your car and chase cars."
Well, I learned, just walk. They'll lay down.
Yeah.
Not
But that
always,
early,
Oh yeah, you was gonna chase. Yeah.
yeah.
Troy caught me one time. I didn't know he was out, and there was a fire over some of the apartment building or something was going on. And he was, mayor. He's going over there with the fire department to see what's going on at this place. Well, I came out tired. It's one of them I was double backing or something, where you work shift and then off and then right back, So I was like, man, I'm tired, and I didn't shave. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had an electric razor in there shaving. He pulled up. And he's like, I was like, I don't know what to do right now. He's like, you can finish up. I don't want you to look. I was just like, oh my gosh, he's gonna fire me. I think he just won. Just became mayor maybe a year or two or something. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm done. Derek comes along. He becomes. When did you promote to sergeant? I know there's probably more stories, but
1990, late 1997, early 1998.
so I come on the scene around 2002. Get hired. Derek and I'm, he's the sergeant on night shift, and Derek doesn't talk to me, and it wasn't just me. He doesn't talk to any rookie until I don't know why. It wasn't that you was being. It was your style.
No, it wasn't even that. I mean, you just
Didn't know me.
if I didn't have anything to say to
So,
you, you
yeah.
didn't.
I didn't take it personal. That was just the thing.
Yeah,
So, I
knew
I knew of Derek before I got to the PD, but I didn't know Derek real well.
You didn't know him as a sergeant, like a
Right.
road
No,
unit.
he was chief.
Yeah.
That was it. And there was like a lot of times I'd be like, "Is he
got-
always in a bad mood?" I was like, and they're
not
like,
always.
they're like, "Yeah," but it's not. He came off as
That's
he was
what
always, but he was thinking about something, or
and Travis can tell you, I never raised my voice to anybody.
no.
I never raised my voice.
Probably should have.
Yeah,
Admit.
I probably should have. And that was the way, like, Eric Wilkerson could tell you. I came in, and I was never in a bad mood. I mean, well, no, I could get in a bad mood. Yeah, I could get in a bad
That
mood.
persimmon,
but like,
Pooches.
Yeah, persimmon face. I've heard that many a time from Doug.
That was a Doug
That was
called
it.
that. That was
Yeah,
a
that
Doug's.
was-
Walked
That
in,
was-
Derek had that persimmon face on.
that was. I walked in one night with Eric Wilkerson, and Eric was like, you can hear. I mean, it was just one of those nights, and we was walking in. We were laughing. And a couple of us on third shift, and second was in there, and you know how second could be sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I walked in. I looked at Eric. I said, "You want to watch me clear the second shift out real quick?" He said, "Sure." Walked in. I just walked in and looked at him. And then walked on back into the sergeant's office.
I knew it. See, I knew it. I knew he was
He just
screwing
jacked
with us
with
for most
Well,
of the time.
hey, you wasn't third shift.
No.
You wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
That was part of it. We had, and we'll get into that in a second. But so
I mean, we keep saying it over and over again. Night shift's where it's at.
Well, but no, because now, I spent a lot of time on second shift.
yeah, you did. But there was third shift, and then there's London PD, and then there was third shift. So
And we got accused of that. We got accused of that.
That was a bad night.
Having a click.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
we had
broke
a
up. We
click.
got broke up. But anyway, so Derek's not talked to me much. You know, we go on calls together, of course, and stuff.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been on my own maybe a month, and we get a murder out in the county. We was assisting the sheriff's office, and
we were tight.
slammed.
We were really tight with the guys that worked third shift. It wasn't just the PD. We were tight with KSP. We were tight with SO. We were tight.
We were tight. You know, we were extremely tight. Don and Tommy and Eddie.
Tommy,
oh my gosh,
DZ at the time was
even it was just one big happy family up there. We had a lot of fun. Eat together when we not all the time, but we try to some. But we're going out to this murder, and we were getting broke into really hard in like change, like car washes or pop machines or stuff like that. And I was up at the Robo checking the coin machines. Well, they give that murder out. And I'm like, I don't know. I've been by myself a month. I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. Just sitting there. I see him and Tommy Johnston jumps in the car with him because he was out. He was a night owl.
Tommy was off that night. He'd been up at dispatch.
But just like any night owl, you can't sleep. You go up there, what's going on, whatever. So he's heading. They're heading up to the scene or going somewhere.
Yeah, we were heading. Eddie had called, and we were going to back Eddie up. We still had units in city, and it was me. Tommy's from the SO, Tommy J, and I told T-Dot to head that way, and me and Tommy were heading up in my car to back them up because they had. As I understand, there was a couple of people heading to the hospital.
I think John Whitehead was out heading to Eddie too.
Was John?
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There were several of us heading up there because they didn't know where the suspect was, and we had a couple of people that were heading to the hospital. But it was a bad situation. And halfway up there, we were up on North 25. We had a call. Eddie yells at me. Eddie Sizemore yells at me and says, 807. I think that maybe one of the two suspects that are heading up to the hospital, or one of the people that are victims that are heading up to that may be a suspect. Can you signal to up there or go up there and check to see what the situation is?
I'm still locked in at Robo.
So I said,
hey, I've been there.
So I said, 10-4, I said, I've got a 10-12, I think it's 11-44 is with me. And I told Travis, I said, pull over. Let Tommy in with you.
I met you up at George Humfleet's.
So let Tommy in with you, and I'll go back and head up to the hospital and see what's going on there, meet the ambulances with another unit. So Tommy gets in with him. I start heading back to the hospital. I'll let you take it from there.
So I didn't clear my seat. I have one of those, those cool things you put all your paperwork in on your passenger
those
seat.
caddies.
So Tommy's sitting in the dash. And I'm like, here we go. He said, we got to turn down 30 to head over that way. And I was like, okay. Or Pittsburgh Road or Richmond Road. And I'm like, okay. I know this road. I've driven that. I lived on School Street, East Bernstead. I used to go pick Ward Stokes up and drive that way to the high school every day. So I was like, okay, I know this road. I know the S curve here is coming. I hit my brakes, and it was about 6 in the morning. It was getting the dew. It's summer. And I hit that brake, and we just went faster. I was like, whoop. And I hit it like 2 trees. I know I hit 2 trees, but
you hit a bunch of trees.
I hit a tree. Nailed it.
Bunch of trees.
We wrecked for about 52 minutes. It felt like I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm looking over. He's looking at me. I'm like, and we boom, pow, and the airbag, I'm burned up here. Airbag burns, and I'm like, just like what is? I look over at Tommy. He's like, hey, we gotta get out of here. I'm like, okay. He gets out. Tommy gets out, and finally, he has to wedge out the.
Yeah, because he's already wedged in there anyway. So.
It was a horrible. I'm looking over, and I was like, and Tommy's getting married in like 2 weeks.
No, it's not. It was like that weekend.
Yeah.
It was.
And he caught his glass. He had glasses on, and when he hit that airbag, whatever hit, it cut him, both eyes, like filleting. He was like, "Whoop!" He's bleeding. I was like, "Oh!" I was like, I get on the radio. I don't even know. We've wrecked. We 46th. I'm like, we need an ambulance. I don't even know how.
Help me, Tom Cruise.
I still don't even know how to talk on the radio real good. I'm like, Derek, where you at? This is the first time we ever had a conversation, too. Well, I'll get to that. So we got passerbys because it's almost work time, and here comes people. You know, they're like, Tommy's like, how bad is it? I was like, you're okay. You might want to sit down, though. He's like, no, what are you doing? So these passerbys come out. You guys okay? We're like, oh my God. She looks over, they look over, like, oh my gosh, buddy, you need to sit down. Tommy's like, what is going on? Well, Derek gets there.
So here's what I'm heading up to the hospital. I hear Travis yells, I'm 46th out.
Yeah.
I have 46th out. That's the way it was. I have 46th out.
Yeah,
So I'm turning around, coming back to him, and I come through there and they have 46th out.
I didn't even know what 46th out was until that day.
And let me tell you, he learned quick.
Yeah.
And so I come back to him, and I'm up here, and he comes up to me. This is his first words. I'm fired.
Yeah.
I'm fired.
I remember.
I'm fired.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, that's the first thing Derek ever said to
They
me.
make these cars every day. As long as you're okay, that's all that matters. They make these cars every day. And Tommy comes walking around. And Tommy and I are close friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we were close friends back in the day, like as close as you can be.
Yeah.
As far as buddies go, I know who he's marrying.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, we've been out on social events with him and the woman he's married. Me and my wife have. And Tommy walks up, and all I see is blood all the way down his face. Tommy walks up to me and goes, "How bad is it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's not bad." And I get up and go like, "Why don't you just sit down?"
Yeah.
And Tommy turns around and throws up everywhere.
Throws up. So he rides in the ambulance.
And I get him set back down. We get an ambulance to him. So we go up to the hospital. Now picture this. Victim, suspect, police officer, and we're sitting there.
All in the beds.
Every bed in the ER filled with somebody. And I'm sitting there going, well, this is going to be, it's going to be okay.
Hey, that's the first time I really talked to Lige. First time I'd ever met and really talked to Gene Holland, the sheriff. I was like,
So
hey,
I'm
come in
there.
here. You're okay. I'm like,
I'm fired.
I'm on probation. I'm fired. I've done a lot of bad things already anyway.
So, and I kept telling Travis, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. What we do, we end up being the person that actually did commit the offense in there. So we got them in custody.
Yeah, we did.
We got the suspect, the victim, 2 police officers.
I got a new car.
What I remember more than anything is the woman that Tommy was going to marry at the time. She stood all of about 5 feet tall. And I remember her heels clicking down.
I did too. I didn't know.
Down the ER. Kim comes clicking, click, 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 click. She doesn't go in and check on Tommy. She comes straight to me. She puts her finger in my face. She said, "I'll have you know, if he's scarred up and can't be in this wedding, I'm coming after you."
Yeah.
I was scared then. I was like, oh my gosh. Fire me, please. This woman's going to kill me. She came up to the hospital later than everybody, because she put on the full.
Yeah.
She got dressed for this. I was like, oh my gosh, she was mad though.
She came out to me and she told me, she said, "If he cannot be in this wedding, I'm coming after you." And I'm like, "Kim, I didn't do anything. I wasn't even the one driving." That guy was.
Oh my gosh,
I got lucky. I never wrecked.
you ain't pleased till you wreck.
Well,
how many wrecks you been in?
Oh my gosh. I don't even-
Somebody told me to ask you about a wreck or something. Maybe on the song. I don't know where it was.
The worst thing.
Yeah. Greg Abels.
It may have been Greg.
That's always,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But it's bad when you wreck with
the preacher's going to be a guest.
When the chaplain,
I've already got it set.
When the chaplain for the police department is with you, and we were just patrolling. We were going around the old Dairy Dart, and as we go around, I've got my spotlight on, making sure nobody's been doing my job, making sure nobody's broken into anything. And as the big concrete barrier that's in the very edge on the southern side. I was going around. I'm like, I think that window's been broken out. And I was like, Greg, is that window broken out? He's like, I don't know. Back up and we'll see. So I backed up, and Greg's sitting there looking. I don't think it is. I think everything's okay. I was like, oh, okay. So I just drop it into drive, start pulling forward, take the entire left side of my cruiser from the quarter panel back, just peel it back, and then we just stuck there. I mean, it hit hard, and I'm like, oh, and it's the awfulest sound in the world. I'm like, Greg goes, how bad is it? I said, I don't know, get out and check. Greg gets out, runs around the side. I said, how bad is it? He goes, looks pretty bad. I said, did we do any damage to it? He said, what, the concrete post? He said, no, there's no damage. I said, well, hurry up, get in, let's get out of here. And we did.
I think Stuart said, ask you about another wreck or something. I don't know. You must have wrecked everywhere.
I didn't wreck everywhere, but when I did,
they were memorable.
It was usually without cause, and really pretty good. I know the pursuit. I had a pursuit with George Hacker, a city councilman, with me. Started there by the Shell station that used to be the Shell station. It's Texas Roadhouse now.
Yeah.
We started doing it with it, and I remember George saying, as soon as we pulled behind the guy, he's like, we're in pursuit. And sure enough, pursuit across to, Parker Road, where the hospital is now, was open field, into that field.
Oh, my gosh.
Sitting there doing donuts in the field, and finally hit head on with my cruiser. Well, I jump out, I'm thinking, okay,
it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
So I go running down the passenger side, because I could see in the car. I know there's two passengers, driver and a passenger. I get right to the passenger side, and I realize something. His car's not done, because he starts backing up as I run in beside. But at that point, I'm committed.
Yeah, you're in.
I'm all in at that point. So he's and he starts to go at an angle. So I start going at an angle, because I figure, like I said, I'm committed. And he just spins the car, so like this way.
Yeah.
And right at the driver's door, where the driver door and the front quarter panel hits, just past that's about where I hit.
Oh, my gosh.
So I go flying over that side. So what they tell me, I don't remember a lot of it, but I go flying over that side in this field and land. And when I do land, I remember landing and looking up, and I am at the driver's side front headlight.
Yeah.
And as I look up and see the headlight, I'm like, it's not a good place to be. And the car starts going away from me. I mean, it starts going backwards again. So I'm like, well, that's a good thing. It's not coming for me. But then as I turn to look, my cruisers are coming at me.
Oh, my gosh.
Seems I forgot to put it in park. Luckily, George Hacker, the councilman, is driving my car around me.
Oh, my gosh.
He literally drives my car around me, which is I come back up. My driver's door is right at the front, so I'm like, I'm still in pursuit. So I jump back up, get in my car, pursue the vehicle on down into the field.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Jump out, because he parked it, and I don't know if it hit something or if he just and got out and took off running. So I put it in park this time, jump out and run, grab the passenger out of the passenger compartment, place the handcuffs on the passenger, and I turn to run after the driver, because I threw her back towards George. And that's when I found out something. Adrenaline is a magnificent drug.
Yes.
When it goes away.
That's when the adrenaline stopped. Because that's when I found out that I broke my left leg about 4 inches above the ankle.
Oh, gosh.
And it didn't hurt. it wouldn't hold my weight anymore. And
what's wrong here?
I remember falling, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get back up. And then I remember Eddie Sizemore coming over top of me and yelling, "Officer down!" I looked up at Eddie. I was like, "Who's hurt?"
You are, you big dummy.
You
That's
are.
what his exact words were. "You are, you stupid son of a bitch."
That's
that's
Eddie. Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever got wind of this. It was back when the 19th hole was hopping. That place was a thorn in our side, and I think you just gave Roby ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I think we done that. Was doing those details with the walkthroughs and everything. So me and one of the other officers, he's still working, so I won't name him. But we was doing our little secret squirrel thing. You all were calling them out to us, and we was catching them there at the stop sign before they could get out on the road and running DUIs and stuff. Well, I'd backed in there, and I thought I was being all sneaky. And this is probably the worst, I don't know if you'd even call it a wreck that I had, but it was during the winter. So I backed in that back parking lot behind the Speedy Mart, and there right before Conley Road. And I was in that Crown Vic. Well, it was running, so it was still heating up. Well, I had backed over the biggest freaking pothole I've ever seen in my life. And they called one out. And I was like, all right, I've got this one. This is going to be a good one. And I go to throw it and drive, and it just goes...
Now, that's the... If you wasn't wrecking one, you wasn't trying.
You
You wasn't working. That was the biggest thing for me is letting the guys...
The Travis Hurley wreck. Was you there? He went over that's Jordan, I think.
Yeah.
Jordan's the one that backed into the culvert.
Now, well,
Or was it?
Travis Hurley wrecking over there off Maple, those apartments over there by London Elementary. It went off the thing. It was a fight going on. He comes around the corner and he puts it over.
Oh, he puts it over the
He
wall?
put it over the wall.
Oh,
And
gosh.
somebody's like, that's a Kool-Aid. He's like, oh, yeah.
I tell you another story I'd like to see video of is him putting that car fire out.
Who?
Travis.
I
Yeah.
don't know if
You hadn't heard that one?
Uh-uh.
So they had a car fire. It was on the interstate or something. And I'd only heard it secondhand, so I didn't. But said that he got his fire extinguisher out of the trunk and ran over there and tripped, and it was just rolling.
He's got some good ones.
Yeah.
Me and Derek worked a lot of night shift together. Now we got it. He I don't know where you got this term, but he was the charm.
You're the talent.
And we were the talent.
Everybody else...
The night shift. Yeah, we were the talent, which we got in some. We handled business.
We did. That was the good part, and I think that, and I tried to, as I went up through the ranks, is let the guys as much as you could let run the shifts. My job is to make sure you got, especially when I made chiefs. My job is to let you guys handle your shifts and make sure you had what I had. When I was on the street, though. And sergeant, I really like being a sergeant. I think that was probably senior patrolman and sergeant were probably the two best jobs to have.
I would say senior patrolman is pretty
pretty
good.
fun.
It's a pretty solid gig.
I say that's the best position to have as senior patrolman.
Just the money wasn't as good as.
Not as good, nowhere near. But that was. But when we would get out and on third shift, we thought we were pretty special. I have to say. We got into some issues, but it literally for a time period there, it got to where I would just pull into the back lot, go ahead and get out, and start a use of force form where I wouldn't even fill in the blanks. I just knew it was going to happen. Because it was just a nonstop fight in some places,
and it wasn't like it was just happening, and we were ready to regulate.
Well,
we really kept up London.
Yeah,
we had an 80% drop.
Our crime rate went way down.
And if you've got a proactive squad,
we were very proactive,
that is trying to get into stuff and trying to be proactive and prevent crime and things, you're going to get into.
Oh yeah, Derek's big thing. We wore them campaign hats out. When we got out on the call, so we get out.
You would think that would be something minor, but literally, they knew when we pulled in.
Boom, we were we handled business. So we get out one time at Economy Inn on something. And
made me look bad.
No, it wasn't your fault. there's a bad domestic going on.
Yeah.
And we go to the front desk. We were trying to figure out what room and try to get a key. We figured out because we hear screaming and carrying on and whatever. And people are like, oh, help these people. Help this woman or whatever. So these doors are real little. Well, we had really good reasons to be in there. We had emergency to get in there. So I showed her this door or whatever. And my campaign hat fly straight up. Like a Barney Fife looking, it's straight sitting on the back of my head, right?
Now that door came open.
Okay, it buzzed. I didn't expect it to. It kind of hit the bill of my hat, and boom, and I'm like, and I've got one hand on my gun with my hat sticking
fighting
straight
away
up
through the cockroaches with the other.
but I've got one hand on the gun. I've got it pulled out. I got my campaign hat on back, and I've got pushing the door back open. Derek comes behind me. We sent Eric Wilkerson
Round back.
And he's still mad at me about this. He said, the windows are like 4 inches wide by 4.
Around the
back. So we go in, and I'm like, where's he at? She's laying in the bed with the covers over her head. There's only one place, she's not under the cover. She's not under the bed, or he's not under the bed.
Yeah. Got to be in the bathroom.
He's got to be in the bathroom, right? So Derek goes to the bathroom, and he's like, get out here. Come on. Well, he has Rabbit. He's ready to run. I'm like, I'm still standing by the door. So still got a gun out. I'm like, so Derek's like, stop. Come here.
I pulled back to pull pepper spray out.
He's going less lethal. I've still got a gun on. We don't know. He walks at me, and I caught this guy.
He did. I'm still trying to get my pepper spray out. Travis just
the perfect
open hand
brachial plexus stun. Never. Only other time it's ever used was in the academy on those dummies, and then Weber coming around and smacking you just to make your eyes cross.
Only time I've ever seen it used, and it was just perfect. And this guy just ragdolls. I mean, he just goes to the ground.
I mean, open-handed, just, and he, timber, boom. I was like, I look at Derek. I'm like,
I killed him.
I was like, we didn't call an ambulance.
The only words out of my mouth was, you just made me look like a bitch.
Yeah. I'm like, what? I mean, this guy, he's down there having he's like seasoned looking. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm going to prison again. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I caught him. It was the right move at the right. He was coming either at me or get my gun or he's going to run. And I just, wham, caught him slick. He's down. He's like, you knocked me the F out. I mean, when he comes back around, he's like, you've knocked me out. You've knocked me the F out. And I was like, oh. And Derek's like, cuff him. I was like, oh, okay.
It's like, all right.
So, do we need an ambulance? No, he's all right. Let's go. Get him to jail. But that was just one of the.
That's funny.
I mean, that's just the way it was. We couldn't help it. It was just, we handle business.
And that's what, when we'd walk in, and we have somebody that square off, I'd look at him and say, listen, I'm the charm, they're the talent. You'd much rather deal with the charm than the talent.
Yep.
He was, because we'd be sitting there like pit bulls ready to go, and all he had to do was say sick 'em, and we was on. It was on. It was fun. We also had some other moments that I don't know where you're at and where you want to talk about, but we had some spirits one time.
Yeah, more than once.
We have to talk about that. We've referenced that too many times and not mentioned
Well,
that.
I always said once I had you on here, we'd talk about it. And it's still.
But I'm not a person that. But now we've seen some stuff that we've seen more than one thing. That
we won't, but we want to protect these
locations.
properties.
Yeah.
So we won't ever say where and who. However, there was this place that was notorious to have, and the property owners or the business owners would tell us, like, there's some stuff going on here.
And I'd never been one that's been like,
superstitious.
Yeah.
I'm on the other hand, I'm chicken because I'd sit and listen. We'd listen to Coast to Coast all that. And that would make you a little bit more.
The only time that I've heard you guys, I've listened to your all's show and I've heard you talking about 2 and Up, and we've The only time we were ever really the demon. The demon one.
I still don't like that. I tried to find that, on the old. They got like a podcast. You can go back and listen to old stuff. I'm like, I'm not listening. I don't even want to find it.
There was one night, and we would drive around because you don't have nothing to do, and you can get tired of listening to the same music over and over. And so we'd listen to that stuff, and we'd be like, "Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that one?" Yeah. We joke around about. But now that one night that they did play, they supposedly played like an exorcism that they were doing.
It was always on Halloween when they did it.
Oh yeah.
So that night I was like, "Hey, T-Dot, like you listen?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That ain't right, man."
No.
He's like, "No." I was like, "The usual?" He's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
So we queued up at Walmart under the lights.
Somewhere well lit, populated, yeah.
Deck had two, his places were like the Rita Lot, with by Weavers, or Walmart if we scared, or just meet in the back lot or something like that.
Yeah.
But this one time, there's this notorious place that we all knew, Gaylor, Josh Gaylor, all of us kind of were worried about this place, and we were told some stories about it. It was what it was. We knew it, and you didn't go up there by yourself. Gary said, "You made me go up there by myself." And I was like, "I'm not going by. If you beat me up there and you want to go by yourself, go. But I'll stay down here at the bottom of the hill or whatever."
Yeah.
So we check it, and we two up and talk about it. We're talking.
Well, the thing with it is, did you tell them what? Did they know what it's the lights?
Yeah.
Was the biggest
I've not
part.
talked about it. So
That particular
we
night,
checked.
it was
The
all
alarm went off all the time, and so Derek and I checked it. We clear it. We're getting ready to leave.
But as we're going around checking it, the lights would go off, like the outside lights. But it's not like motion activated because it wouldn't be where you were. It would be on the opposite side. It wouldn't be.
And I wasn't going to. We stayed together.
Yeah.
We wasn't. There was no way I was going to leave his side.
Watch too much Scooby Doo to do
The
that.
talent was not leaving the charm on
Yeah.
this one. So we get back in the cruisers, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's you or me, was like, I don't know about this place.
You've got to see the way we were parked though, because like I'm pointed down the hill, like heading down to the main roadway,
And I'm
T-Dot's
opposite.
in the opposite. He's pointed back up the hill towards a back
Like a garage or
carport
carport.
type.
Yeah.
That's away from the building. And it was you, because we were sitting there talking about.
I don't know why I would say
We were sitting there talking about all the times we've been there and how the cleaning people say this. I've never seen that. I've never heard that. But when all the lights, when you go around the building, it's like the lights follow you, but they're either in front of you or behind you. They're never where they going off where they should be going off.
Yeah.
So I say,
makes this famous saying.
I say, if you're out there, if you're here, if you're real, show yourself. I still can't hardly say it without getting scared. Them thing lights.
Every light in the place
comes on. Boom. Well, as soon as I say it.
As soon as not a second later. As soon as he said
I get
it,
chills just thinking about it.
every light in the place comes on.
Gosh.
And when it does, I drop my car into drive and shoot straight down the hill.
I'm stuck. I'm
He's stuck on top of the hill.
That is gone. When I see his tail lights,
Yeah. No,
he's
forget
like
that,
a railroad tracks. He's gone. He is.
Yeah, I was
out of
gone.
there. I came off that hill sideways.
Yeah, poor.
But what you didn't see, because you left so fast, is they also started blinking.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I saw them. They were blinking. They were blinking before I got
I
down
don't know
off the
why I
hill.
didn't hit our dash cams on that.
I just
one.
hope it didn't
No.
follow you home.
There's a lot of
No, I saw it. I mean, they came on and they started blinking, right, and not like on and off in places.
different places.
Oh,
They all
See,
came on,
which-
and then they started going
Yeah.
around it.
And I was gone.
There.
And now, hand to a Bible. On it.
Yeah. I'm out on that one.
That one, and we saw the other stuff, some other cool places that
The smoke,
the smoke through the,
the closed up chimney.
yeah. smoke would be bellowing out of it like there's burning firewood in there. And then
and it was cemented in. It was
told by the owners, the people that work there. That I don't know, and it was it's just crazy stuff. And it had this glass.
That place wasn't there rumor that it was like a
like
old Civil War?
I don't know what it was.
Hospital or something.
There's a rumor, but I know that they had this double paned, and it looked like his face, this weird looking thing. When you see smoke and you see this face, you're like, oh, there it is. But it was there in the daytime too. It just your imagination.
And you see, I guess the moisture in the air at night kind of collects to it.
But I know one time I was going up to the back. I had a ramp, was checked because the alarms would go off a lot. I reached out to turn that door handle to check it, and it clicked in front of me. I was like, "We're safe. It's good. I'm out." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, good."
I've seen the smoke, and the lights would definitely. I mean,
yeah, that place didn't scare me as bad as the lights.
Yeah, the lights were definitely.
That was definitely something that.
So the cleaning crew there said they heard voices all the time.
They wouldn't clean past 8 o'clock. They would come in when they were closing up shop, and they were out there by 6 o'clock by dark.
Wow.
So, and we were good cops. We'd go up there and check that alarm. We were crazy. It was fun though. Then one time we got into it looking for it, so we go up to a place. We'll cut that out. We go up to a notorious place, and we're sitting there under a front porch, and daggone if 1,000 pigeons didn't fly out on us, it scared me to death. I was like, "Oh,
I don't think that's the most dangerous thing up there."
Oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing though. We were so silly.
You guys were on third shift. I mean, you know how you just. I mean, it just seemed like the strangest things happened on third shift.
Would.
You know, it would just find you, or it would be completely dead. I remember like third shift. What did y'all do when you were on third shift and it was boring? Or it's snowy?
It's not watch movies.
Probably, go back to the PD or just go sit somewhere and
See, that's what I remember. This was back when it was me, Eddie, Tommy, Daryl Zanet. Our crew would be, gosh, it could have been anybody. Probably John Whitehead, Goob, Gary, Alan Harris, Travis T-Dog, Travis Hurley. And maybe T-Dog and Eric. When it would snow, we'd go down to the SO and play rook.
So we didn't have the luxury of it. We didn't really have that relationship that you all had until later with the sheriff's department and all that. Now, sometimes we would go up to dispatch and play rook.
Let me tell you. I remember John Wright coming in one day on second shift, and they must have got caught in dispatch playing rook. I know they got caught in dispatch playing rook. And this is when, like I said, I was a sergeant, and John Wright was a lieutenant. And I remember walking in, and John and Major Young being in the back. As soon as I walked in, you know the rule at PD, don't lie. Mm-hmm. And I walked in the back, and Major Young said, as soon as I walked in, didn't even get past the door, hadn't even shut behind me. Major Young hit me as soon as I walked in. Have you ever played rook in dispatch? I said, yes, sir. And it caught him off guard. He was like,
yeah. Usually you were good as long as you didn't.
He's like, well, don't do it anymore. I said, yes, sir. John Wright never looked up. Because my last partner was John Wright.
John was good.
Yeah.
John kicked. I was like, John, you're going to see something in this video in about 3 minutes. If you don't care to turn that off, okay. Man, he'd take care of me, bub.
Well, I knew John was sitting there waiting. As soon as I got that question, I knew he was just sitting there waiting to make sure.
Funny. Where were you at? Yeah, I could see it. Man, we had a ball. We had so much good times.
The dragging.
Yeah. So, we've not really discussed it a whole lot.
We've mentioned it, but...
So I'll tell rookies somehow end up dragging some dead carcass
I don't know where it became a tradition, but
I don't-
it did.
it did.
It was there when I was a rookie. It was there.
And disclaimer here: all these animals were deceased, and
Yeah, nobody
ever went out and killed something. But I know that they were looking for something for a while for me to drag before I got shipped this first shift on my training. I was with an officer, and so they find one and throw that thing underneath my cruiser, and I come outside. I'm like, golly, what in the world is stinking? Oh, somebody hit something somewhere. Goob or somebody jumps in with me. He's like, let's drive up here. I'm like, okay. Well, I need to drive by my house right quick. Well, we need to go over here. I was like, well, okay. So we drive, down the streets, and we need to go to Walmart. Somebody's up there. I drive through Walmart, and people were like, started pointing. Like, I was like, what is going on? And what is going on? And why is that other officer following me? What is going on here? Because, I'm like, so, Travis, T-Dot's drug, big whoop-de-hoo. So we go, and, I had to dispose of it, so we throw it out somewhere and get rid of it. And the next day, though, it was within a week.
That was the next day.
Oh, was it you that ended up getting the letter?
Well, I don't know where it came from. Some people say it's PETA. I don't know. It was just somebody complained. Somebody at Walmart, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So they called in and complained of, wanting to know if we killed the poor possum, and if we, is that how we, it was a tradition.
Is that
it was
what we
the way
had to do with our lives.
Yeah, and there was people that. So I was the last person to drag anything. It was the end of. I ended the tradition. That's my bad. Sorry.
I hate that.
But it was funny.
Oh.
Poor old. Yeah, there was people that got in trouble and talked bad too. But it was what it was.
I take the blame for that because Major Young had this. They knew, like, if they let me go home and sleep for about 2 hours, 3 hours, then they could call me and I'd be so. I mean, I used to change my long distance phone company. My wife used to get so upset because I'd changed the long distance phone company like 3 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was partly my fault because I'd owned up to.
Well, it woke you up. That was him.
They called us up, and I remember because I woke up real quick when I got there's a video.
Yeah.
So they bring me in. Major Young brings me in, and he was like, he when I was applying, he kind of brought you in. He's like, here's what you need to do, and here's what here's what we believe. Here's our philosophy. He's kind of you didn't talk to Lodge on that stuff. He's kind of the guy that prepped you for
kind of your onboarding type. Yeah.
So he's like, he was notorious for drawing. Like,
you knew how bad you were in trouble just by letting you draw.
Did like doodles, of I don't know, just squares and circles, and you're like, and I was told that about him. And this guy's got a masterpiece going on over there, a Picasso, if you will. I was like, I am going home today. I almost got. I don't know how many times I thought I was fired. I was like, hey, whatever.
It turns out it's pretty hard to get fired.
So I'm like, man, I've had it. So, how did that make you feel when them guys did that to you, made you drag that possum? I was like, sir, I don't understand what you mean. He's a Marine and I'm a Marine. Mm-hmm. We're kind of, but he's an officer. He's a major. I'm like, sir, I'm at position of attention, and he's like, no, sit down. He's drawing. I'm like, what are you asking? How'd that make you feel, patrolman, when you were dragging that possum? I was like, well, it made me feel like I finally arrived, that I'm part of the team now. What? Are you serious? Now, come to find out, I'm sure Jim has drugged or tied many a possum or raccoon to somebody's, but it was a big, there was a complaint, so he's had to do his due diligence. Yeah. It was funny, though. But I was like, I feel like I'm part of the team now, sir. Are you serious? I was like, yes, sir. And I did. I mean, that was
would,
like a rite of passage.
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
We literally, and I felt bad because, like I said, they called and they was like, "Somebody let her drag last night." I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Why were you there?" I was like, "No, I was on a domestic. I didn't get to see it."
Oh no!
I was on a domestic. I didn't get to see it. They were
Oh
like,
my God!
Well, how you know they drug? I said, "I watched the video."
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was like, "There's a video."
what?
Is there not supposed to be?
No.
No.
It ended up me and the two other officers that were on duty that night with the other. We went to them and we're like, "Listen, you can suspend us, send us home. Just don't take this guy's straps away from him." And luckily they didn't.
He was my training officer for the night. It was
because I would have been there if I hadn't been on a domestic.
Man, me and Derek got in the craziest call, and I know we're gonna have Josh on soon, so I don't want to. But man, I don't know if we should tell it or wait for Josh because it is one of the crazy blind date.
Oh gosh, yeah. Let Josh.
We'll save that for Josh.
Let Josh.
That was one of the funniest moments. But that was when Derek came in and was like, after there was pepper spray, get them out of here now.
I didn't even get that out. I was like,
yeah. It's like, I'm choking in here. What has happened? God. Oh, that was a wild night. But I'll tell that one with Josh soon. It was classic. What else you got?
Probably, should we tell an actual story about when they did separate us?
Yeah.
When we did get divorced.
we were made to divorce. It wasn't our choosing.
Yeah.
One night.
The talent could no longer be with the charm.
The charm lost all of his charm that night, I'll tell you that.
It was me and Eric Wilkerson were working that night. And it was just the three of us that night.
Just three of us.
And the major comes in.
Yeah, then that was, you knew that something was up because, we would come in early. I mean, we were eat up with it even at that time. We'd come in early and hang out with second shift for a little bit and, hang out. And there was usually there was four of us on some.
Yeah.
So we come in and hang out and then, hit the street.
Yeah, we would either giving second shift a hard time about
good natured, good natured.
We'd wait till the first shift get there and then we'd tell them how bad they were.
Yeah.
We had nicknames for the shifts,
the biscuit bitches.
That's first.
They were.
Well, they did. They went and got everybody's biscuits for them. All the command staff went and had their biscuits and a cup of ice.
They were bitches.
So we
called them that.
And we good naturedly. I mean, we called them.
I think they finally must have got to the.
Yeah, I think they finally had enough of being called that. So we come 10-8. We're out there hanging out with second shift, and all of a sudden we hear 802 come 10-8. And I'm like,
what?
That's odd.
That guy never goes 10-8.
That's odd. I wonder what he's coming out for. It's just 802's coming out to hang out with us, guys. This is good.
He wants to see what.
Yeah.
He wants to see the action. He wants to be part of this.
So he comes in. We're all sitting there, hey, mate. Hangs out with us for a little bit, and he comes in, and he finally, everybody's starting to get ready to hit the street. He walks up and goes to me and says, I need to see you in my office. I'm like, this is positive. This is probably a positive thing.
Yeah.
So we go to his office, sit down. He goes, never forget, I want to know what you think. I'm like, you? No, you don't.
That's a very dangerous question.
He said,
That's a loaded question.
Yes.
He said, I want to know what you think. I said, about what? He said, just in general, what you think. I'm like, no, sir, you do not want to know what I think.
No.
It's like, yeah, go ahead. He said, I want to know what you think. So for 15 minutes, I told him what I thought. And for 4 hours,
we got
he told me how wrong I was.
Yeah.
I got scared. Me and Eric would call each other. It's back in the Nextel days. I'd be like, "Was Derek out yet?" Nope. No radio traffic. We probably were like 807 U10-4 or whatever. Crickets, man. We're like, whoa. So we go sneaking up there, looking down the hallway or something. Go get snack. Go to the pop machine. Be like, what? Go up to dispatch. Be like, that office door is still shut for 4 hours. in 15 minutes. And me and Eric was like, what is going on? You know, we two up. What is wrong? And then?
Well, then he comes out and I remember, and he talked about the major drawings. There was two that that kind of became, you kind of could start to, I could break the code.
Yeah.
And the two that I kind of broke was he would make the 4-dimensional boxes.
Yeah.
Well, if you made the 4-dimensional boxes, you were okay. You probably messed up.
See, that's what he was doing
you
with
you were going to be
drag.
okay.
Yeah.
But now he had this 4-dimensional starburst that he would draw. Now, if you drew that one, you were weak. He knew what you did, and he knew how you did it.
Yeah.
And you were, there's a situation going to happen.
Yeah.
What if he starts drawing mazes or something?
But when he started making those 4-dimensional starbursts and he started filling them in, it was bad. It was bad. Well, this was the 4-dimensional starburst with the boxes being shaded in.
Yeah.
So I sat there for 4 hours, 15 minutes or so, and never forget his last words while he was, because I was just sitting there watching. I was sitting there for 4 hours watching him, listening to him, and watching him fill in these starbursts. So at that point, I'm like, you know, we could have a problem.
Yeah.
His last words were, "You and your guys think you're special. I'm going to prove you wrong." I was like, and he did. He did. He busted our shift.
You went to first or second?
No, I went to second. I was senior road sergeant. I went to second shift with like Tuesday, Wednesday off.
I became a biscuit bitch.
Like the worst RDO.
I became a biscuit bitch. And,
I think Eric, out of everybody, because you
Eric stayed
have
on
extra
nights,
guys
probably.
on too. I think Eric was the only one that stayed on the third shift.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think ultimately that was good.
Yeah,
because
I needed to go to day shift.
we were probably getting a little bit
Cocky.
out of control. I mean, we were probably getting full of ourselves, and
I mean,
But at the same time, I mean, you know,
the results were
what
incredible.
did you hurt other than the biscuit bitch's feelings?
well,
Apparently, we hurt the major and lodges and everybody else.
but you know, it was good because at that point I'd been on second and thirds for probably 18 years.
Oh well, yeah, it was probably time for a change.
Yeah,
Anyway,
second, third, and third
Yeah.
shift was probably about 18 years total.
But it
The
didn't
biggest
kill
part
him.
of 18 years total.
Promoted all the way up. It was chief for what, 5 years?
Mhm.
He took
Yeah.
it and ran with it.
So
The man. We had good times, so it was
then-
real fun.
there was just it was a good time.
We had some fun.
Yeah.
I wish you could have worked with him as the sergeant.
I do
And
too.
I know you're young and it's
well,
just different, but it was.
And that's what I said. You know, I was giving him a hard time at first, but working under Derek as chief was enjoyable. I mean, I didn't know what in the hell I was doing, but I enjoyed doing it. You know,
Well, the big thing was as long as you guys were doing your job.
Yeah.
That was the way it kind of was on third shift. Your job and second shift, especially, as long as you're the guys. I would answer probably more calls than most of our officers would on the daily. And that was the whole thing. If you could beat me to the radio,
yeah. Well, and that
You know.
I still remember. The dude's last name was Burns, and you probably arrested him a million times. But the very first guy I ever arrested with Derek on a call with me. It was over at Wildwood or something, I think. But yeah, and that warrant that he got arrested for, he never did go back and get it done. It followed me. I've done so many case reviews over that warrant. I finally got to get rid of it. But I still remember that.
We were notorious. We were at that time for that short window. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not talking. It was a couple of years of that. It was when we had that chip and we were
Yeah.
doing what we was doing. But that was we was talking about the flip flop fight, or when I was going up there. That guy was like, I know you and Derek House came to. That was just what it was, and now here I am fighting him again. It's not. It was just the time.
Yeah.
Meth was crazy. That's when the pills were, the oxys were hitting, and it was just. It was just crazy. It was just a different time.
Yeah, and that was like even when I was like a rookie. I remember like my first when just coming out. I mean, you remember the things that it's kind of funny and enjoyable, and that's what I told my wife and told a lot of people. I think I've been hit in the head once too often because I don't remember really any of the awful stuff that people seem to remember. I remember kind of the comical stuff that has a little bit of tragedy to it. I remember like Kenny Jones, KR. I love KR to death. But I was a patrolman coming out and going to like one of my first domestics, and I remember we get there on it's Tobacco Road, one of those little shotgun shacks that are on the side of the road on Tobacco Road. Going, me, Kenny, and another officer who was a sergeant too. They were both sergeants. And walking in the front door, and the guy going, she's in here, was walking through and literally turning left into a bedroom. And as soon as we turned left in the bedroom, here's the lady is on her bed, almost as close as you and I are together, not maybe 3 or 4 feet away, and she levels a shotgun.
Oh, my gosh.
At me, Kenny, the other officer, and the guy and I remember, of course, you don't even have time to get your gun out. So me and Kenny just immediately hit her. I mean, we just tackle her on her bed.
Oh, my gosh.
And we look back as we're tackling her. I remember looking back as we're going down, and Kenny was cussing. And I'm figuring he's cussing her. Well, no, it was the other officer had ran out of the house on us as we were going down. I remember cuffing her and getting her cuffed and getting the shotgun pulled away from her, getting her out. I remember Kenny just immediately going, get her. And I got her. And he takes off after the other officer because
he
was
going to wear him out. Yeah.
Man, we got to get Kate out here too, bro.
I mean, it's funny now. At the time, of course, it wasn't as funny. But now, you look back and it's like that's the stuff I remember. I remember the more comical side of it.
Yeah,
and maybe somebody else thinks that's not funny at all. But for me, that's just
that's pretty funny because that's something you don't often see. Because we were all, my
mom listens to these, and sorry, Mom, for some of this, but she's like, if I would have known this was happening, I would have never let you be. And I'm like, Mom, I was 26 years old. I don't care. I'm still your mom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Mom. My mom and Dad, they would listen to Scanners all the time. Stephanie and I, of course, I met, being a police officer, her working through the court systems. She knew some of the stuff that went on, but, when I went home, and, I'll admit, even as chief, when I went home, my radio went off because it would literally drive me nuts every time I heard. And that was when I got out, when I left the police department, the weight. You always worry about the guys that are still there because they're your friends and you love these people.
Yeah.
But I remember the entire time I was assistant chief and chief, didn't matter where I was. Every time I heard a siren, sound off, I was like, I wonder what's happening. I wonder if everybody's okay.
Right.
I wonder if, and I think that's.
Yeah, you don't miss the stress of it, but you do miss.
You worry about your brothers.
You worry about your sisters. Yeah,
and it's. I mean, until you, and you don't really even. I never realized that I even had that pressure. I mean, in the 9 years I was on either deputy chief or chief, I took 2 full weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
In 9 weeks, 2 full weeks. Away
in how long? 9 years.
9 years.
wow.
Jeez.
Now I would take a day here, 2 days there.
Well, it becomes weird. I remember, and it was just so happened, like the big 4th of July thing here, the red, white, and boom thing. That was like January or July 1, and when I became chief, and I'd already had, scheduled vacation and already paid for it. So I was like, this may be the only one I get. So my first week as chief, I was on vacation.
Yeah.
It was weird. I was like,
and you could get away for.
But you start getting phone calls immediately.
Yeah, and you could get away for 3 or 4 days here, 2 or 3 days there. But as far as a full 5 days, two a weekend, 2 weeks during a 9-year period. And
it's tough. a lot of weight of the world.
And then you could never ask, like, one of the things that I always did, I always wore a uniform. I always wore my vest, even though I was inside, because I expected my guys to wear one, and I couldn't.
Dang campaign hat.
And you would think, that doesn't go unnoticed either, coming from our side of it, is that, I've got a lot more respect for somebody who's going to tell me to do something, and then I see them doing the same thing, rather than somebody that's going to tell me this is how it's going to be. But then you come in ball shorts and what?
Yeah.
So,
well, that was that was.
It's a very smart move. It really is. It's a good leadership move, and people need to know that. Don't ask your people to do something that you won't do.
Right.
Right, and it did. I'll be the first to tell you, it did stink. Sitting behind the desk wearing a bulletproof vest and a Class A uniform.
But about a Class A.
No.
I mean, just so.
No.
He brings me in. I was working schools, and he brings. He's like, "Hey, come in here and see what. Check this out." And we were buddies. We were friends. Yeah. And this is just he was like, "Check this. Look what I have to write. These big, long, huge 3-page reports for money forfeitures." I was like, "You have to do that." He said, "Yeah, sit down and write one or type it. Just copy. Just type it. Couldn't copy and paste it." I was like, I get through like one of them. I was like, no. I said, "Why you do it?" I remember he's like, "I can't ask. I got these guys doing this. This one, he can't type." So I don't know if he's testing me out, see if I was going to be his scribe or not.
Right, yeah.
I was like, holy cow, it was tedious and horrible.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And that's, I wouldn't take anything for the time that I spent in each of those areas, because it's a great learning experience.
What you got that opportunity to go through the ranks. I went from lieutenant to that to interim, so I knew how to order uniforms and buy cars. Right. That was what I was, and I run a squad, But that was my admin job. Was I took care of cars, maintenance,
and I think that being where the position that I was in at the time, and I know this it's kind of not the comical stuff that you normally guys do, but being able to take it each step of the way, learn a little bit along the way, was great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it gives you, once you get to that number one spot, you've got so much more experience, perspective, and and rather than,
I had a very charmed patrolman, patrolman to sergeant, very charmed. I was on the interdiction team with the state police, so I got to police in Bowling Green and Louisville, where the Haida counties were. That was a rarity. I got to go. I was a training officer. I was a canine handler. I got to do so many different things in that lower, in the, patrolman to sergeant stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But one of the crazy, Derek's like, so I put in for that detective spot.
You were detective for a day.
I know we've talked about it, but Derek scared the snot out of me. It's not because he didn't think I could do the job, but I was like,
the responsibility that came with it.
All right, we got it. You got it. It wasn't no like, I know he was proud, because he knew I could do the job or he wouldn't have offered it. But he was like, if you screw this up, you're going to go, you can go to prison for this evidence. Are you? It's like, let's see if T-Dot really wants to go that route. And it was a smart move, because I really was, I was on the fence about it anyway. I was like, so the next day, I was like, hey, I want to go back to school. I want to go back to SRO. Okay.
Travis had a couple of those spots where he would come in and be like, Travis come in and go, what can I do for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd be like, tell you what you can do for me, Travis. Okay. And then you come back later. Maybe it's not.
Yeah. It was the opposite of those TikToks where they're like, I'm having a really good time. I'm not having a good time at the fair.
Yeah.
I'm having a really good time. No, that was the opposite. I really thought I would be like, this would be a really good job for me. I think I can help you here. You know what? I was really mistaken on
I
that.
was wrong. I would like to go back.
But it really taught you learn how it's humbling when you learn your limitations and what you're good at and your strengths and weaknesses. Go with your strengths, know your weaknesses, and have good people around you that can do that. And that's very important in leadership
Absolutely.
too. And it's part of it. Know thyself. But anyway, we want to conclude it here.
Yeah, we've been yapping for an hour and 45 minutes
Heck
now.
yeah, you got the record, bro.
You'll probably have to cut after this. That's stuff's boring as
No, it
No,
ain't.
that's
No,
good
this has been
stuff.
classic. This has been
It's behind the scenes. It's inside look. Nobody.
nobody, like he didn't know you as anything but the chief, man.
In other words,
I
if
knew
you get
you-
a chance to be chief, don't.
Dog.
Yeah. Well,
You think you want it?
really? You think I'm ever gonna have a chance to be chief?
Hey, maybe.
Are
You
you
never know.
kidding? Did you see the way my career started?
Well, all
You
right.
think I do that?
All right, we won't rule it out, but I'm not on a.
I should have been fired in the academy because of Danny Robinson, but no.
Chief Holland said I was lucky to be here.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, we had such a good time. I love it. Thank you for coming
Yep.
on.
Thanks for
Absolutely
having me, guys.
enjoyed it.
We'll do it again. Well,
Yeah.
I want to do a big, cool live.
That's what I think that'd be hilarious to get
We-
all these people in here. That
Yeah. We keep talking
These
about
legends.
bring
Once we
Hump
get,
in, and
Yeah,
I can
think
tell you
it'd be
stories
fun.
on Hump, but
Yeah, I will
We'll
do
get
it.
a group.
Let's do
together.
it.
Hump and Flump.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll hit you on another episode later.